Hello, and welcome to Drinks in Trade, hosted by Franklin & Sons. Today, we're in Manchester, a city known for music, culture, and then events popping up left, right, and centre, giving something always to do. My name's Tim Garrett, and I'm on my way to speak with Nathan Larkin from Speak and Code, where we're going to be talking to him about his career so far. Then later on in the show, we're going to be meeting with James Stimson from Spirit of Manchester, where we're going to taste his amazing rum. Let's go. So Nathan, tell me a little bit about your career in hospitality.
Okay, straight in. So I've been in hospitality for around about 11, 12 years now. I kind of lose count. But I essentially started working in Hard Rock Cafe. It kind of just came around. I was sitting with some friends one night, and a friend called me up and said, "Hey, like two people have just walked out. Like, do you fancy being a bartender?" And at the time, I was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a cool thing to do." So let's do it. It's quite a funny story actually, because I'd not long been back from Australia from traveling, so I hadn't like built up my wardrobe or anything. So she was like, "You need to come for an interview now." And it's like 9:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. And I was like, "Oh man, I don't have anything to wear." So my friend lent me his shirt and some pants, and it was just way too like oversized for me. So I thought I needed to rock up to this interview in like formal wear and stuff, and it just didn't really, it wasn't really like that. But so yeah, I went to this interview. It seemed to work for both parties. So then I became a bartender. I was terrible for a little while. For the first 6 months, I remember turning up to work every day shaking because I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. I was that guy that would like break my shaker glass. Trying to like separate a tin and a glass.
You went straight into bartending? You didn't start as a bar back though?
Straight into bartending.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So straight into bartending, and then probably within about 12 months, and you'll kind of hear like the same story in different kind of ways from a lot of bartenders. Is that whole like, look, I could see that I would make people smile from something that I was doing, so I kind of like felt like I'd found a calling in life, like especially if a lot of people who go into this industry are kind of lost in a way. So I kind of felt, I felt good about it. I was like, cool, I feel like this is a bit of a calling for me. Started to take it a little bit more seriously, and to kind of like build up my knowledge on like different products and alcohol and stuff. Like I used to go help out in inventories on Monday mornings, and I'd turn up and I'd just pull pour spouts out of bottles and smell everything that was on the back bar. And there was a bunch of stuff I'd never heard of before that was like, I don't know what it is. Yeah. I want to try to figure out what it is and see if I can find a way to like it if it wasn't something that I liked. So, I remember when I first started bartending and I hated gin, I was like, well, I want to find a way to use it so I can sell that product and also create something enjoyable to somebody else, because nobody wants the bartender that says, hey, I don't like it. So, how does that give you confidence in trying it for yourself? So I started to kind of create my own cocktails, and it was kind of frowned upon there. You have to be very set with the menu and set on their style. Yeah. Something I later like really respected actually, because it kind of taught me a lot about culture in the workplace. But
consistency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. So, but what I would do is I'd veer off menu every now and again, and to a lot of my other bartenders' annoyance, it was, and I'd just create my own concoctions for people. And I think that partnered with becoming a supervisor, I really started to push, like, in terms of the training and development side. And I ended up making a cocktail that then made its way into the global menu for Hard Rock cafes, like worldwide.
Amazing.
And then I asked my GM at the time, I said, hey, look, who's the person that makes these decisions? Who's the person that says, yes, that makes it on the menu? And kind of just, that person overall. And I said, can I get that person's email address? I just want to send him an email and say, hey, thank you. And he's like, right, cool, I probably shouldn't, but here you go, that's the email address, just say thank you. And he was like, just keep it short, say thanks, and then leave it as. And I did. I said, hey, thank you. And I said, look, I really want to continue doing this, and I want to help. Like, I'm here to help, and that's what I want to do. And then next thing you know, 2 weeks later, I was on a flight to Orlando, sat in a conference room full of GMs and AGMs and directors as a representative for European cafes worldwide to create a brand new cocktail menu for Hard Rock Cafe. And at the time, I was kind of starstruck. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. So then, yeah, man, it just escalated from there with the whole training development and menu development, things like that. I fell in love with it. Got to travel around, the Americas, South America, Europe, opening new cafes left, right, and centre. And then I guess, as with most things, I guess time just time just went by, and I felt it was time for a new challenge. And I think at the time I started to mess around with flair bartending a little bit, and
we all did at some point.
Yeah. So, and I wanted a space to go and do that, and I found out about the European Bartender School in Manchester, and one of my friends there was running it, and I just went to train with him, and he said, look, why don't you come on as a kind of a secondary instructor in the European Bartender School. So I did that for a couple of months until he left, and then I just naturally took his position, and next thing you know, I was the head of instructor for European Bartender School, just running classes solo. So you know, you had a brief and you had a module to work from, but a lot of it was kind of creative freedom, and you kind of put your own stamp on things. And
the great thing about the schools was that you actually still able to do hospitality, but in more the daytime style.
Man, it was a loophole.
Yeah,
it was a loophole. It was just like some mad parallel universe where you still got to do all the fun things a bartender did. But
you're done by 6 p.m.
Exactly. Yeah, you're done by 6 p.m. So I think. From there, I started to teach more advanced bartending courses. So they brought out this new program. It's like 2-day mixology course, and you teach people how to, you know, ferment homemade cordials, shrubs, make clear ice.
We used to get like professional, like ambassadors in to do a little chat about tequila and things like that as well.
Kind of stuff. So it was a bit of a so from being in a bubble in Hard Rock to then actually trying to integrate myself into more of a hospitality scene, because at the time I would actually try to get my students jobs after the school. So that was part of kind of what we offered is, you know, do the course, and afterwards if we recommend you, I'll reach out to people and see if you can start there, whether it's an apprenticeship or whether you just join as a junior bartender. So it's about integrating myself into kind of a hospitality scene. But the advanced mixology course really kind of was where I started to jump down that rabbit hole of other kind of cocktails and a bit more of like refined, you know. And then
understanding the science behind it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and that really excited me. So then I started to kind of choose a bucket list of bars that I wanted to visit. And I remember for my 30th birthday, I'm 35 by the way, you know, and this is a thing. So my 30th birthday, my fiance booked me an hour behind the bar at Death & Co. So I went over there, and I literally spent an hour on my 30th birthday bartending at Death & Co. And that's mad. Like, I was like, this is insane. No one will ever top that present. Yeah. And even though I love those guys, and like it'll be forever kind of one of my favorite bars of all time, just because it was the first kind of cocktail book that I read that was, you know, that again shoot me down that rabbit hole. I felt slightly underwhelmed, and not like they were doing anything bad. It was more that, oh, actually this is achievable. You know, I think sometimes when you hold those, you know, bars on a pedestal, and you know, you look at like, you know, idols and whatnot, it's all achievable. We're all human at the end of the day, and I think it gave me the confidence to come back home and start to look at my own thing. But in the meantime, I kind of moved over to the Lake District and used the Lake District as a kind of a practice. You know, like I helped them develop their training programs in the bar that I was working at. I was helping develop their menu, and again, we were bringing like clear ice and homemade products and things like that. But
I could only a safety net of business. Yeah,
I could only take it so far, because the local trade still just wanted espresso martinis, pornstar martinis, and not to venture too far away from that. So I kind of said, look, I want to do this for myself, and a space became available in Manchester, and I went and took it. And I don't know if that's a short version or a long version, but that's
cracking,
how it all started.
So, out of interest, is the drink that you created for Hard Rock Cafe, is that still on the menu? Have you been in?
I don't think so, but
what was it?
It's called a Ginny Hendrix.
Oh, right.
Ginny Hendrix, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was gin, elderflower, fresh orange, carton pineapple juice, and packet lime juice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Very Hard Rock.
Banger.
Yeah. You know what? Part of making drinks is coming up with these absolutely like line stopper names of just going, that's a keeper. That's a brilliant one.
But you know what's funny as well? Because now at Speak & Co, we don't really have names for cocktails. Like I was done with it, you know, like, you know, trying to come up with puns and all kinds of, you know. So in the end, when I opened Speak & Co, everything was just numbered. We just did like first menu was just we did 22 cocktails. It was 1 to 22. Yeah. And now it's a bit more kind of a music theme, so it's tracks and untitled. That's cool. Classics, yeah. So.
Nice. I've got back into the fashion of, so all of my drinks are based on an original classic, and then just twisted into that sense. So it would be, this is a book, this is a sour, this is a spritz, this is a fizz, but everything's then lined in between it. But I do think back to some of the things I have called drinks in the past and still laugh.
Yeah, you do.
So, happy days. So obviously you talked about wanting to you got into creation quite quickly, quite early on. What's been your favourite cocktail that you've created?
It's a really hard one, dude. It's a really hard one to say, but it's probably one that I'm going to make for you, because I'm not one to look at the past. Like, I respect classic cocktails, I appreciate classic cocktails, but I don't know, man. Like, you know, I prefer to kind of just play around with things that either excite me, things that I want to try and develop myself, or things that I just think, look, you know, I want to kind of try to not create new flavor combinations, because, you know, look, you know, that's difficult to do, but just to kind of I don't know, like go on an adventure, like a journey in flavor, and share that with other people, and that's kind of as simply as I can say it. And so when it comes to cocktails, I'll kind of take a lot of inspiration from food.
I was going to say, we're talking like a chef here.
Yeah. So
that's what mixology and real bartending is. It's liquid chefing.
Yeah. So we have a cocktail on our current menu, and this is just an example of a bunch of different things that we do. And we try to create a closed loop process in all of our drinks by, you know, secondary and third and fourth, and maximizing the products as much as possible. So there is a cocktail that we infuse Japanese whiskey with toasted sunflower seeds.
Nice.
We take the sunflower seeds back and we dehydrate them. That comes back into it later on. We use beer quinquina, so it's an aperitif. And then we make we call it like a Thai cocoa liqueur. So we make our own cacao liqueur. We infuse that with Thai basil and chai spices, and then we mix some soju in there as well. So that's the base of the cocktail. And then we take the sunflower seeds and then we blend them up in water to make a nut milk, like a sunflower nut milk, and turn that into a purple sweet potato orgeat. And then that is shaken with a little bit of reduced aquafaba to kind of give it an emulsification. Yeah. And then it's garnished with a little polenta crisp as well. So you remember Smash, you know, Mr. Mash? So you use that with polenta and potato starch.
You're actually using Smash?
Yeah.
Not like the cheese and onion and ham flavoured ones.
No.
That's the original, yeah.
No, it's just so potato flakes, polenta flour and potato starch. Mix that together into kind of like a Play-Doh consistency, and you just spread it through some leaf molds, and we dehydrate that for like 45 minutes. And then they kind of pop out the mold, and then you just deep fry it for 20-30 seconds, and then sprinkle that with salt, and that comes on the top with a little bit of toasted poppy seed as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things.
Man, and Smash, I've not seen Smash in years. It used to be like a staple of like regrowing with Smash.
It's kind of funny as well, because when you look at something like this and you go, wow, there's complexity, there's you know, there's refinement and there's elegance, and then there's Smash in that, you know.
Yeah, but it's fine. It's a cool use of another ingredient.
Exactly, yeah.
So we talked a little bit, obviously, when we talked about EBS, and we just started talking briefly about the fact it was nice to have that kind of daytime style work, but still being hospitality. Do you do anything now to make a better life-work balance with your stuff?
I think for myself, like, for one, I had a big kind of realization over lockdown that I had to kind of put more strict parameters with my own work-life balance for a start. Because when we first opened, I was just head down working 24/7 here. But that wasn't benefiting the business, and everybody has something to give. And I kind of really tried to help the team understand their own value, and that time is your biggest asset. So the way I think the whole employee-employer thing, I think sometimes things can be a little bit outdated in hospitality. So I look at everything as an investment from everybody, you know, a time investment. So for one, it's like, invest your time wisely, for sure. We don't want people being here all hours of all days and running themselves into the ground and suffering any kind of burnout. So I think a big thing a lot of people are doing is aiming for a 4-day work week. But I think also one thing I have to say with that is I was at an event recently, and I heard someone say something I couldn't agree with more. They said it wasn't their job to motivate the team, and I don't think it's our job to motivate teams. Like, to work in hospitality, you need to be a motivated individual yourself, but we're there to support and guide as much as possible. So when it comes to finances, etc., we regularly have team meetings where we sit down, and, you know, it's things like we help break down what it costs to run a bar, and it's for everybody else's benefit. The next step for every one of the team members here is to have their own bar, and that's the level that everybody's at right now. So we help them with those kind of you know, numbers and sitting through financial discussions with us and things like that to kind of help them make better choices and make more informed decisions for themselves. But I think honestly, everybody here, it's real nice. Like I said, everybody's a self-motivated person to become the best professional that they can be, and everybody's a career-minded bartender. So I think for me, it makes my life a lot easier, and that my biggest role is to provide support wherever they need.
Well, they're singing off the same hymn sheet as you, so they've got the same focus in mind.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice, good. Obviously, we talked a little bit about you used to look at your bar idols and things like that. You found out that it was achievable to become that. Who was your bar idol, or who is your bar idol now?
I was looking forward to this a little bit. Like, I honestly, I think I did go through a phase where I probably looked at Death & Co. as like the pinnacle of bartending years back when I was reading their first cocktail book and such. But honestly, I have none. Like, and I have to be honest about that. I can't look at what anyone else is doing. I can only look at what I'm doing and what I'm trying to achieve. It's absolutely pointless, you know, to look to your left or right and see what anybody else is doing. Like, the most important thing that we can do is to ask ourselves if we're making the right decision, and that's the most important thing. Not what this bar is doing, not what that restaurant's doing. It's whatever we're doing. Are we making the right choice? Are we making the right decision? And that's what we base it off. So we can't look elsewhere. And I think I've never had a mentor or a role model in hospitality. I've kind of found my own journey, and to be honest, it's kind of where Speaking Code, the name, comes from. It means speak the truth. So I found that with my own experiences within hospitality, like I said, I've never had kind of a mentor, so I've had to find my own way. And I think for the most part in my particular journey is that I never had anybody to help with that guidance and just give me a straight road to here's how to be successful in hospitality. It was weaved in and out, it was dangled carrots, it was mixed messages, and I think a lot of people felt those same frustrations, and a lot of people that I've met have felt those same frustrations. So I kind of said I wanted to write a book about kind of your own, you know, how to guide yourself in hospitality and how to kind of make your own way. And I said I want to call it Speaking Code, and it's kind of a contronym. It means speak the truth, you know. And then when the space became available, I said I'm just going to apply the name to the bar, and it's because we're coming from a place of transparency and honesty, and that's exactly how we want to approach everything we do. Every supplier that we work with has to align with our, you know, core values. Everybody that we bring into the bar to be here with us and work with us, they have to align with our core values. And I think the biggest thing for us is to be honest and transparent about everything we do, and I think that comes from within. It doesn't come from anywhere else, you know.
That's awesome, mate. So Nathan, you mentioned that you wanted to make a drink, but I'm really excited to try that. But before we do, tell us a little bit about the bar.
Cool. So Speaking Code is 4 years old now. That includes a little bit of a break during the lockdown period. Our first year we started as a pop-up, so we used to share the space here with a cafe. Won't go into too much detail about those guys. Different business than us, but they used to operate in the daytime. We'd come in and reset the space for evening service. It was very challenging, to say the least, to completely transform a space to have almost no traces of what was here in the daytime, because I think we really clearly wanted to have a separation between the two businesses, just to make sure people didn't get confused and think that it was just one business that just operated two different levels.
Yeah.
So the first year we would share that space, and with a view to eventually buy them out. And that happened. That sort of lockdown period kind of gave us an opportunity to say, okay, hey, look, let's reassess this whole situation of us sharing. We'll make you an offer for you guys to basically vacate the space, and we take it on as our own.
Nice.
And from there, it's just been a upward trajectory. It's been really nice to kind of make the space our own, establish ourselves here as our home. I think we were kind of in two minds at one point whether to stay here or look for another space, but I think you know, there's a little bit of a bit of magic about finding this place and the journey to it and coming through those archway doors.
It's a stunning venue.
Yeah,
it's a stunning
and
venue.
there's a lot of history here as well. I found a photo recently actually as well from the 1800s, and it still has the same entrance.
Amazing.
Yeah, so it used to be a mill here. So, but yeah, I think more than anything, as a bar, we're just honest and transparent about everything we do. We love hip hop, we love flavor exploration, and that's in simple terms. We just put those two together. There's no sort of you know, no agenda other than that really. We're not trying to be, you know, I think over the course of the 4 years, there's been a sort of are we a secret bar? Are we not a secret bar? Are we a speakeasy? We're not. And we don't like to put those
No.
any of those labels on what we do. You know, it's just
You do what you love and hope that people come in and share the experience.
exactly that.
Yeah.
We're an entirely plant-based venue, so everything we do is 100% vegan. I've been plant-based for almost 7 years now, so that was, you know, had to be a core part of what we did for me. But it's not necessarily something that we advertise. We actually just keep it pretty low-key, and if you find out along the way, it's a bonus.
Yeah, nice. Happy days. Okay, cool. Well, let's give this drink a go. I'm excited to try
All
it.
right, so you should be. Cool. So this is from our second menu, and my background is more music. So actually, kind of like a
What instrument did you play?
bass.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Cool.
bass, and I kind of like channeled it all through synths and stuff. So it's super like heavy electronic hip hop. So I've kind of created this whole menu kind of around the parallels between the sort of the creative aspects of making music and making drinks, because for me they're very similar. And again, coming from my background in Hard Rock Cafe, it's like I was that cheesy corporate dude who was like, you know, I turned all of the training materials into like, right, this is your stage, this is your gig, and all those terminologies and stuff. So I really do believe there are similarities in a lot of creative industries, and I think for me, I'm a big believer in marrying a lot of those similarities as much as possible. So I think our menu fully reflects that. So we didn't give our cocktails names, they're listed as tracks, and then we have an untitled section and we have our classics. So this is track 10.
Cool.
And then we're going to start off with a purple sweet potato orgeat. So you get a lot of like vanilla and nuttiness from this.
Great colour.
Oh yeah, it's super purple. Then we're going to do a little bit of a mix of aquafaba. So we reduce our aquafaba as well, just to kind of get rid of a lot of that water content, and you get a much better emulsification from it. And we mix that with the Miss Better's Bitters foamer. I said that correctly. And then we pretty much pre-batch everything in our speed rail. So we've got a track 10 pre-batch, which is a base of a sunflower seed infused whiskey, Japanese whiskey, beer quinquina, which is an aperitif, and then we make something called salted Thai cocoa. So it's essentially a soju blended with a cacao liqueur that we make, and then we infuse that with chai spices and Thai basil.
Nice.
Yeah. So you get a real nice spiciness, creaminess, nuttiness from this drink. And I think a lot of the team take a lot of influence from like world culture and foods when we create our menus. So kind of like where this cocktail was inspired from. All right. Blended strainer.
Nice.
See, the colour's amazing.
Yeah, the hue on that colour is beautiful.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of extra aeration.
Yeah, so we don't double shake. We prefer to use these coffee foamers. Just kind of speeds up services that little bit as well.
Done the same thing with a like a mini spindle mixer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a little milkshake mixer. Sours have become a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And we only have just a few emulsified drinks on our menu, but they absolutely fly out, so we're literally smashing them out every night. All right, and then a garnish. So what we do is we make a polenta chip. So polenta chip is made from potato flour, potato starch, polenta flour as well at the same time. We turn that into kind of a mash that resembles like a Play-Doh. Spread that out into a silicone mold, dehydrate that, and then you just fry that once it's been dehydrated for about 40 minutes.
Dehydrate it in the mould?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, nice.
And then get a little bit of toasted poppy seed over the top just for a little extra nuttiness.
Little record coasters.
And there you go.
Nice. That's beautiful. That looks amazing. Presentation on that's fantastic. texture, and that's awesome.
Yeah, super velvet. Yeah.
Oh, mate, thank you very much for that. That's stunning.
Enjoy.
That was a great chat with Nathan from Speaking Code. It was really interesting hearing about his time as a trainer and what he managed to achieve whilst at Hard Rock Cafe. We're now going to go back and speak with James Stimson at our tasting room, where we're going to get a chance to taste his amazing rums, One-Eyed Rebel. But before we do, let's pop into a few bars that we recommend. So we're here today to talk to James, the National Sales Manager from Spirit of Manchester, about his absolutely amazing rum. All right, mate.
All right, mate.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, mate. Thank you.
Good stuff. All right,
Thanks for that
buddy.
wonderful introduction.
That's more than welcome, pal. More than welcome. For the benefit of everyone, do you want to talk a bit about yourself and a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So, obviously, as you said, my name is James. I'm the National Sales Manager for the Spirit of Manchester Distillery. I've worked for them for 6 years, but I've been in and out of hospitality for the last between 15 and 20 years. I've worked as everything from a barback to a bartender to a bar manager to GM.
Earned your stripes.
Yeah, I've done cooking as well. I cooked from 2 Rosette to Michelin star, and then came out of kitchens to go back into bars again. So I've been in the industry and done everything on the other side of the bar and in that environment. And then when I was working in a business a while ago in Manchester, I met with the owners of this business who kind of told me that they were making a gin, and I was talking a lot about gin at the time. So I think over a period of about sort of 6 months, as I was getting to know them, they started to really like me, and then they approached me and said, "Do you want to be part-time with us as a brand ambassador?" And I'm just growing with the business.
So that was Manchester Gin. Yeah, and then they went into making rum.
Yeah, so we wanted to be known as kind of a multiple brand operator that could grow brands that were ours properly, and also sort of gain integrity through making different spirits as well. Yeah. So obviously, as you said, we started out with Manchester Gin. We also make an absinthe. We make 2 vermouths. We make our spiced rums. We've just launched a range of vodkas, and we're about to launch whiskey as well.
Amazing.
We're busy,
good.
very, very busy.
It's good to be busy, mate. It's good to be busy, especially in this time of day.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of it, is just keeping us busy in the distillery and keeping the teams busy with new things to get at.
Yeah. Putting that creation from your bartending and chef background into spirits.
Yeah, and into, well, how I convince people to buy them.
Nice. Good work. All right, mate. Should we give it a taste?
Yeah, of course. So do you want to go for...
Well, let's start with your original one on the market.
Okay, cool. So this is kind of our classic, I guess you would call it, spiced rum. It's predominant sort of flavours of vanilla, ginger, nutmeg, cinnamon, and then obviously we've got caramel in there for colouring, and sugar for sweetness as well. We kind of look at rum in a different way. Obviously, as you know, rum as a category is so wide, and there's not that many rules as to, depending on where you are in the world, there's not many rules on what you can do with it. So our whole kind of thing was to do our own thing and to do it based on what we know. So when we look at a gin, we redistill or rectify gin with botanicals. We do exactly the same thing with rum. So we buy a molasses-based spirit from the Caribbean. Yeah. We redistill it with our own botanicals and ingredients. We do what we do well as a gin maker. Yeah. And then we add sugar and caramel to finish that product.
So it's not just about adding essences and flavours?
No. It's about properly making a spiced rum.
Yeah.
But kind of using a different base. So arguably, perhaps you wouldn't call it a spiced rum in the world of spiced rum, but again, because there's not that many rules, we can kind of we can do what we want with it.
In comparison to gin and whiskey and the rest, it's quite slacking.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so loads of vanilla, loads of ginger on the nose for me.
Yeah, I get a little bit of like allspice notes coming through.
Yeah, it's kind of Christmas cakey or Jamaica cake crossed with Christmas cake maybe.
Like Parkin sort of.
Yeah, well, Yorkshire Parkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of our key things was we wanted to make a spiced rum that you could mix with, but that you could also drink straight and enjoy straight. It's not too offensive, basically.
No.
So it should be quite smooth, it should be quite sweet, but also good rums are quite dry. We wanted this to be quite dry as well.
It's got a sweetness and it's got a beautiful viscosity to it, but it's not got a unnatural sweetness. It's not got an artificial sweetness.
Yeah.
But that spice is coming through. It's waking up your mouth.
Yes.
It's got some great little notes coming through there.
Yeah, exactly. So it should be quite warming and quite.
If you obviously talked about just like you just said, mate, you talked about being able to drink it neat or sip it, but what would you mix it with if you could mix it?
So our sort of key mixer for the original spiced, as we would call it, is the Franklin & Sons Mandarin and Ginger soda. So obviously, rum and coke is a classic mixer. We wanted something that was lighter, fresher, not so heavy and sweet on your palate. So obviously, going with a soda is much more common sense for us anyway.
Yeah.
But also, it just marries perfectly with what we've made.
Not killing it with sugar.
Yeah, exactly. It allows the rum to shine, but it also is quite a light, fresh drink.
Nice.
Obviously, down to like our sort of branding that we have on each of these bottles, that was also about kind of, I don't want to say shaking up the industry because that sounds really arrogant, but it's about kind of doing things our own way.
Yeah.
The parrot, obviously everyone knows parrots are synonymous with rum. Everyone knows pirates are synonymous with rum as well, and pirates usually are the key character.
Yeah.
We kind of took the story of the pirate being the bad guy and flipped it on its head. We thought about what if it's not the pirate, but it's the devil on his shoulder kind of whispering into his ear.
All right.
So the one-eyed rebel is the rebel, he is the parrot, and he's the one that's kind of leading pirates astray.
Yeah.
And there's a storyline through all of our bottles about kind of like this parrot causing havoc. You can see on the back of the bottle a ship on fire.
Yeah.
So it's all about this parrot's kind of causing havoc.
And he's got the match in his mouth.
Yeah, and notches on his beak, which is kind of leading you to believe that he's done some things before. So it's all about the parrot kind of causing problems for the pirate, and then the pirate having to kind of convince everyone that it wasn't him, it was the parrot all along. There's a pirate trial on the back as well, where the pirate's kind of fighting for his freedom in a legal scenario, trying to say it wasn't me, it was the parrot.
That's some seriously cool branding.
Yeah. So this is the passion fruit and coconut. So looking again at spiced rum as a sort of as a category, there's a lot of growth in it this year. Rum in general is growing. UK is, I think, the third or fourth largest market for rum growth in 2022.
Yeah.
Flavoured and spiced rum seem to be leading that growth and leading a lot of people into rum growth.
Yeah.
One of the things we wanted to do was make these rums easy to mix with and easy to understand straight off a shelf. So adding these kind of nods to extra flavours in them by distilling extra flavours into them.
But relatable flavours.
Relatable flavours, things that are either synonymous with Caribbean flavours or synonymous with rum flavours, allow us to approach a bar and for the bar to be able to create a very quick drink and understand that rum very quickly without having to do much to it. So,
nice. Well, we've got a sharpness on the nose from the passion fruit, which is really nice to find that in a rum. It's got that kind of...
It's fresher, it's more vibrant, it's more like summery almost, more tropical.
It's gorgeous, really tropical, really flavoursome.
And then the coconut kind of just softens it out on your palate, leaves a bit of a richness behind as well.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. But that passion fruit is clean and fresh.
Yeah, and this is the point.
And then we've got one more.
Yeah, so this is the black cherry. So obviously black cherry can be a little bit wintry in its kind of, in your experience of it. Sorry, I'm dripping on the table again. As I said, loads of bartending industry, but not bartending for a long time. Experience, sorry. So yeah, the black cherry this time, with it being a bit more autumnal, our perfect serve, with this is actually with Franklin & Sons Guava and Lime. All right. Just freshen it up.
Yeah, clean, fresh flavours.
Yeah, give it a bit of balance against the kind of heavy,
deep
rich cherry.
fruit. Yeah, beautiful. Oh, that's awesome. Really, really rich, really fresh. Fresh cherry flavours coming through.
It's kind
a
of
little bit of almond note there.
I was going to say it's kind of reminiscent of a bit of amaretto or amaretto cherry flavoured drinks that you have on a bar. So again,
or like classic kind of Bakewell-esque flavouring.
Exactly, and it leads you straight away into easy drink making because it's
But real.
Yeah,
Not fake.
exactly,
Not artificial.
Exactly.
Awesome.
It's just nicely reminiscent of drinks that you know on the bar. So these cross over into categories that you wouldn't normally mix with. So for example, we've just gone live with this in a fairly decent business they basically switched out their vodka for this in a porn star.
Amazing.
So it makes perfect sense.
Works.
So this is what I'm on about. Translatable flavour that makes sense to
And
a bartender.
something like the cherry in a Blood and Sand.
Exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's really good in The Godfather as well.
Oh, nice. Well, as we're talking about drinks, should we go make one?
Yeah, let's do it.
Happy days.
Cool.
So, buddy, what are we making today?
So, Tim, today we're going to make our kind of perfect serve on the black cherry.
Cool.
As I said earlier, it's like probably my favourite perfect serve out of the three. So I thought, why not go with that one?
Nice.
As it is all about the rum and the soda, I'm going to go with a big, heavy 60ml glug of rum to make sure we've got plenty of rum in the drink.
Nice. So, like close to American measurements.
Yeah, closer to feel-good measurements. Okay. And then we're going to have 15ml of the freshly squeezed lime in there as well, just to bring some zing back. Just help with the soda as well.
Yeah. Nice.
And then, really nice with cherry is some nuts, right? So we're going to have a little bit of hazelnut gum. We're going to go for 10ml of hazelnut gum, just to bring a bit of body and texture to the drink. But also because nuts are really nice with cherry. Okay. And then just ice these guys up. Okay, so as I was saying earlier, black cherry is quite a rich sort of wintry style of rum. So to give it some summery freshness and lightness, we're using the guava and lime soda to go with that. Awesome. Just really helps freshen the drink up. As I said, give it some summery vibes. A little bit of a nice cherry on the side for you. Everyone loves a cherry on the side. And then some fresh mint, just to again bring some freshness and vibrance to the drink.
Beautiful.
Okay, one for you and one for me.
Awesome, mate.
Awesome.
Really nice.
We cheers it or?
Why not?
Cheers.
Salad.
Thank you.
Don't want to lose a cherry. That's really good. And that little nutty note just balances out that flavour of cherry. But you still get
Brings
the
back
freshness.
some body, yeah. So you've got loads
water.
of freshness, loads of zing, and allows the soda water to show as well, all the way through the drink, which I think is most important, obviously.
Yes,
That's what we're here to talk about today.
That's great.
We haven't done any particular perfect serves with a passion fruit and coconut yet, so I was thinking perhaps I'd leave you with this bottle so that you can mess around afterwards and make a drink for us.
Definitely.
Awesome.
I'm excited about that. Thank you very much.
Sick.
And cheers for coming down, man.
No worries, man.
Pleasure.
Take it easy.
So guys, today I've had the luck to be given a bottle of the One-Eyed Rebel Passion Fruit and Coconut Rum from the guys from the Spirit of Manchester. So I'm going to look to create a drink today using that and Franklin & Sons Ginger Ale. So I'm looking classically rum drinks, things like mojitos, but maybe a bit more towards like a Queen Park Swizzle style, but using ginger ale in there to give it some body and some warmth as well. So let's get started with 50 millilitres of the One-Eyed Rebel Passion Fruit and Coconut Rum, 20 millilitres of fresh lime juice, To create balance, I'm going to add 10 mils of sugar syrup and a little bit of mouthfeel in there as well. Obviously the ginger ale is also going to add a touch of sweetness, so I don't want to really unbalance it. I'm going to go in with 50 mils of Franklin & Sons ginger ale, roughly 1/4 of a bottle. And like I said, mojito wise, Queen's Park Swizzle, I'm going to add a little palm's worth of roughly 8 to 10 mint leaves. Give it a little clap, open it up, and then just feather them in. Okay, so I'm going to use crushed ice. And then I'm just going to give that a little churn up just to get all those mint leaves mixed in all the way up through the top, and also obviously get those flavours and ingredients spread across the glass. Let's give that a little taste. Nice, so you get that ginger ale flavour, you get that spice, you get that heat from the rum and the spices from the rum, and then crown that off with crushed ice. And then let's just give that a garnish. Straw, and take a few little mint sprigs. Now these mint sprigs are not too great, so taking a combination of about 3 or 4. Take off the stalks, just roll them together and pop them in. And there we have our One-Eyed Rebel Swizzle.